Hello everyone, it's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Obiajilu Ugbo and with me are the ladies. Hello Miriam. Excellent morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. What's up? What happened this weekend?
This weekend, I did something that I love to do. I was invited for a TV shoot, Bambini TV, and they do this bedtime stories. So you get to read bedtime stories to children, and they're highlighting and trying to push more stories from Nigerian authors and Nigerian books. So I found that, of course, that was definitely right in my space. And so I was invited to read a book and my book as well. But we had such a lovely time. I spent nearly the whole day there.
Aww.
Yes, so I'm excited for when it comes out and you guys get to see me read.
That's awesome. Hey, okay. Nima, how are you doing today?
Fine. A bit overworked. It was a working weekend.
Oh.
I played football with my children and it was too strenuous for me. So I've had muscle pain. I've not done it in a while. But it was nice racing and playing football with the kids. And this morning I wanted to banter something important. I'm struggling to remember it. But it's okay. But
was it the journey through?
Okay, so let's pause you on that. Your mic is not really working. Okay. We'll be right back.
Again.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table. So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what...
Welcome back. Nima, how was your weekend?
So weekend was nice. I went to see my mom. It was a bit emotional. But on our way back, I took my kids. And I took them on the bus ride. So we went on commercial buses on the road. And my little boy doesn't know simple rules of how to move in traffic. Me that I was born in Ojo-Elegba. I was, by his age, I knew how to move beside cars. My son was just jumping everywhere, just scattered all around. I was like, you have to do more of this. And on our way back, we met a kind soldier, and he was interested in his outfit. He kept dragging the cap from the soldier man. I have pictures of him with the man. I saw his name on his uniform, Anas, and I was trying to say, introduce yourself so you can ask for the cap, but the man had already taken the cap and put it on. So I was telling him a bit of story that his grandfather, that's my father-in-law, was a soldier man himself, and that he used to call my son Major. So which I just chatted. It was really nice, appreciating the effort of the military, you know, in combating all the issues that we have security.
That's amazing.
That's my son.
Yeah.
Anas.
Anas, is it an English name?
It's
It's an Arabic name.
Arabic name.
Very
Oh, okay. Okay, you're Muslim Christian. Most Chris. So I had a very cool weekend. Rested, Netflixing, as usual. Like I promised myself that I was going to rest this month. Then on Saturday, we took the kids swimming. I was supposed to swim, but my time started, so I couldn't get into the pool. So I just sat on one corner, admiring them and trying to listen to.
How's your tennis going?
Yeah, tennis is going well. We're resuming this week, just twice a week.
Okay.
Yeah, twice a week we resume tennis.
that's
Then I
amazing.
combine with swimming during the weekends. And my dieting is still ongoing. I'm still consistent. I'm happy about it.
Well done.
Thank you so much. Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we'll take the newspaper reviews. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. So today we'll start with the point. I think I took a story there. 12 days to go. No pranks. Elections must hold, Nigerians tell authorities. One federal government, INEC, not to play into the hands of centrifugal forces. Naira redesign. POS agents lament hardship. Say we are suffering, not making money. I have 22 POS points, none is functioning, chairman. Jam tech-driven war against malpractice paying off as stakeholders adjust. Saboteurs against Tinubu should please retreat, Ayeri Emami. Nigeria's bear market revenue to hit 2.45 trillion in 2023 report. So I took the Naira redesign issue. Commercial point of sale operators, that's the POS operators, under the aegis of Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents, have said that the Naira redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria has crippled their businesses and robbed them of their means of livelihood. So according to them, he said, contrary to the claims of Nigerians that they are now making huge sales from exorbitant rates, that those people who are actually managing the POSs they're not the ones making any form of business because they don't have cash to transact the business. The people who are making money are those people who have businesses, maybe supermarkets and malls, and they have POS. So they are the ones, after taking charges from customers, they still take additional charge to be able to give customers charges. So they are trying to investigate and arrest some of them right now. But the people who are just strictly into POS, about 3,000 of them, are not able to do any form of business. They are out of business. And one of the reasons the CBN's policy is not working right now is because they, as stakeholders, were not involved in having a conversation. The CBN did not call them to discuss how this was going to run. And now there's no cash. People are rejecting the old notes and nobody's saying anything about it. Basically, do you have another story in the point? Okay. Let's move on now to the nation. Yes. Where is it hidden? All right, the nation. Tinubu lists ways of Naira crisis. Ways out of Naira crisis. Action will speak louder. Vote wisely. Vote BAT. Okay, that's basically what we have. Renewed hope is here. It's a full advertorial.
So I went into the nation for this story.
All right.
The NDLEA arrested the founder and general overseer of Seraphic and Sabbath Assembly, Lagos State, High Priest Nnodu Kenrick, and a student of the Emmanuel College of Theology, Samanda Ibadan, Oyo State, one Udezuka and a flight agent, Mary Obasi. All three of them were arrested with the palm oil keg drug concealment that we saw over the weekend. And Mary Obasi had been intercepted, and she then exposed the connections to the high priest and the student. So she said that she was made to take an oath with chicken and some other items like that, oath of secrecy, and that the high priest prayed over items, made them oversaw the oath taking, and they had concealed parcels of methamphetamine and skunk in 25-liter kegs of palm oil for export to Dubai.
Wow.
And the student was made to assist her because she was new to the game. They compelled the student on his own part, said he needed the money. They promised to pay 2 million, and they made him take an oath for that assistant he was giving to Mary Obasi. And the high priest's son was also involved. He's at large now, and the has not found him yet. But they were able to do other arrests. At the trade fair, they caught somebody else, another Dubai returnee involved in skunk and tramadol export, one Naman Innocent. They caught that one. They also arrested someone else who has his own concealed in a cargo to the UK in food items, and his name is Agolo Emmanuel, and he was supposed to be the cargo export person. But you know, all these arrests are things that we must commend the NDLEA for. They are doing well. They're doing well.
Thank you.
People must also be very careful. There's nothing like oath taking. Be careful anything you get involved in. I'm sort of a bit sympathetic towards Mary, the fight agent, but even in that, she could have reported the case herself rather than be arrested for it.
Okay. Did you?
Yes, I have a story. So the APC presidential standard bearer, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yesterday gave 6 points solutions to what he believes would help with the crisis that Nigerians are facing now. The presidential candidate acknowledges that Nigerians have been going through a few weeks of challenging times as a result of the Naira redesign policy and the implementation of it, that the Naira scarcity as well as fuel scarcity. And he says he also acknowledges that the categories of people or groups that felt the brunt of this combined problems of fuel and Naira scarcities are, the small and medium enterprises, the poor and the vulnerable masses, and these are the people who are most hit by this. And for him, he says that, he has like 6 points that we can use right now to solve the issue. I'll just name a few. One of the first things he says that, first of all, the old and new Naira notes should coexist as legal tender for at least the next 12 months. There should be also immediate suspension of associated charges on online transactions and bank transfers, and also POS, onto full resolution of prevailing crisis. He named so many things. So he also stated categorically that he and his running mate do not think there's anything wrong with the Naira redesign. They just think that the policy itself, but the implementation and how we're going about it is affecting the most vulnerable in our society. And so these solutions will help us sort of manage it up until, Nigerians are, yes. So.
Okay. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, the newspaper reviews continue. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
And ask questions if I want to ask questions. And if it's something that I saw coming, I may not even ask questions. I may just see. I may even tell you I saw this.
What if it's in person? But then, would it make a difference where? So like, this person might just say, you people can just be on 3rd Mainland Bridge on a bike, and the person say, babe, I cannot do it again, and you lose range. So what would change? What would change the scenario? Like, does it matter where? Do you want to have like a fancy dinner, like the film you were mentioning?
No, like finding up here.
Or do you want to be on the street?
No, carry me go fancy dinner.
Or even just una dey run for treadmill.
Or you not a job.
Don't tell you lose for your web.
Now I don't turn attempted murder.
So which would it be? Because I'm like, in person, you have the closure that you want and they feel injuries.
Guys, that's one place. It could be inside the car. You can sit down inside the car.
Why car? Why not bike?
Who will be driving?
Why bike?
Who will be
No,
driving
now
at
the
this
car will be
point?
stationary.
Pray I'm not the one driving.
The car will be stationary.
Because I'll go master. You can't be telling me like me. I'm going to drive near water.
All
You must consider.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known, for when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century, speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
It's not just where, but who wouldn't you want to work with?
Yes, that's on that angle.
So Laifa had a very, very interesting...
You wouldn't want to work with who?
Not
There's no
disrespect.
judgment.
No, and I
Oh, they'll
respect,
judge you
I
definitely,
respect
but we won't
this
judge
certain type of people. But what I dislike so much is when they tend to come to work and then they pour all their
Resentment from
on
whom?
you. Is it me that offended you? I'm not the one. I have no business. Man, just come and work with you, pay me at the end of the month, and let me go back to my house in peace and sleep. But when it comes to like divorced people, I cannot work with a divorcee. I can't see myself doing that. If I find out, if you can hide it or not, but if I find out,
When they're nice divorcees.
I would just
What
be.
if they are nice?
Okay, now it depends. If you are nice, cool. But if you are the type that you don't know how to keep your anger to yourself, you always pour it on somebody. Well, I'll not drop my resignation letter, no matter the amount you're paying me.
So it's more passive-aggressive people.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm so sorry.
Oh, definitely.
And I cannot work with stingy people.
See this one.
Because you cannot be passing me in the morning, afternoon. I can say, oh, hi, yeah, I'm working. Oh, yeah, take 100 naira,
You
take
can
10K,
employ your sugar
take
daddy,
15K. You don't have to be my
considerate,
sugar daddy or sugar mommy. See, the way you treat others is the way they will treat you outside. And if you cannot treat your workers well, they are not a good boss. If you cannot be dashing me small thing or giving me donuts when I'm working, you are not a good boss.
Thanks for staying with us. So I took a quick story and the nation. So the federal government and the Central Bank of Nigeria are still keeping Nigerians waiting on the status of the 1,000 naira, 500 and 200 naira notes. So despite the Supreme Court order extending the old notes phase-out deadline, also the International Monetary Fund, that's IMF, and the World Bank and government are maintaining silence. Nobody has spoken. The CBN hasn't given any circulant. So a lot of people are rejecting the old notes. They said when they go to the bank, so people who have been market women, transport, bus drivers, they said when they go to the bank to change or to pay in the old notes, the banks are rejecting them. So the market women are saying that they can't sell their products for free since the banks are not even taking the money. They would rather take their wares back home. And CBN hasn't said anything. However, there's a meeting that will be happening on Wednesday. But I think that before Wednesday, we should have like a circular or something to let people know that they can still send the old notes back into the bank, or they are not taking it. Let's just know what's happening, because people are stranded and businesses are not working anymore. Let's move on now to the Punch. Can probes alleged obese 2 billion largesse, PCC claims blackmail. Naira crisis, governors fear recession, 4 more states join legal battle. And then the advert. So what do we have?
I have that. So more states have joined the legal battle against the federal government over the currency redesign policy of the CBN. Attorneys General of Ekiti, Bayelsa, Sokoto and Rivers states told Punch on Sunday that their states were set to join as co-plaintiffs in the suits that were initially filed by the governments of Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara state. As we remember, the 3 northern states, Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara, the Supreme Court last Wednesday issued an expert order restraining the federal government and CBN from enforcing the February 10 deadline, right, for the swap. But they said the federal government also approached the Apex Court to vacate the order. So like just the story you read before, I guess we're all waiting now to see. And then with the addition of these governors, we'll see where this takes us. We hopefully by the end of today, we should know where we're headed.
Yeah. Do you have any story in the Punch?
I have a metro story, human interest story within the Punch. So over the weekend, something broke, and it was the story of a father who died fighting the suspect who had sexually molested his daughter. So the Lagos State Police Command has launched a manhunt for the driver of Luyo Secondary School, Iju, Jacob Fatoki, for allegedly killing the father who accused him of sexually molesting his daughter, and said that the parents, after being notified of the driver's illicit act against their daughter, visited the school to tender an official complaint against the driver. The owner of the school, after listening to the parents who narrated what happened to their daughter, invited the driver, who immediately denied the allegation, and this enraged the people's mother and the father, of course, who slapped the driver, and in retaliation he slapped the father back and hit the father's chest, and in the process he collapsed and was rushed to the hospital, where he was confirmed dead.
Wow.
And he is on the run, but the Lagos State have issued a manhunt for him. The poor girl had told her parents about what happened, how he took her to his house around the Ajun area on the pretext that he needed to drop something at home, and asked her to follow him. And when they entered, he asked the girl to sit on his lap and raise her school uniform, and to, so he just had, sexually molested her. Let me just spell the Nigerian details. It's just a double tragedy, very painful one for that matter. And I hope that he's caught as soon as possible and made an example of.
Okay, the Christian Association of Nigeria on Sunday distanced itself from alleged 2 billion naira claim to have been given by the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, to churches under its umbrella. They also said that they will probe the source of the petition in which the allegation was made, describing it as untrue and malicious. So the petition, allegedly written by one Pastor Frank Onwumere and dated December 15, 2022, was addressed to the Christian Association of Nigeria president, and he claimed that 2 billion was shared among some mega churches while other denominations were sidelined. So they are now saying that there was nothing like that. So when the Punch reached out to the person allegedly who wrote this petition, he said he did not write anything like that. So the Christian Association of Nigeria is saying that people should disregard this. They have no hand in it. They did not collect any money from Peter Obi for the campaigns, and they are not endorsing any candidates. Nigeria should go out there and pick who they want to lead them. Let's move on now to the Sun. Can PFN disown alleged Obi's 2 billion mobilization largesse? I never wrote such letter, says alleged author. Confusion as Nigerians reject old Naira notes. Fuel stations flout federal government directive, insist on cash on payment. Tinubu will win Rivers convincingly, APC boasts. Pope Francis creates Aguleri Diocese, appoints Isizo, pioneer bishop. Kogi to IGP on Bawa, allowing convicts to roam the street portends danger to judicial system. Ask police to immediately arrest EFCC boss, commit him to prison. Army will ensure conduct of free and fair elections, GOC. Coup. Invites Fani Kayode to explain allegation, Atiku tells DSS police. Church GO theology student arrested over Dubai-bound meth and skunk. What stories do we have?
Major headline. The Sun went around Abuja and took, following the original deadline for the Naira swap, and they found Nigerians businesses not taking the old Naira notes anymore, even though they have a Supreme Court judgment stalling everything. Nigerians, according to them in Abuja, have stopped receiving the note. They refuse to trade in that and insist on only new Naira notes. And basically, that's the report. They went further to give the history of what had happened and the present situation. But in Lagos, I'm very clear. Because yesterday, throughout the weekend, going out and shopping, we spent the old Naira note and it was received. Well received, yes.
Wow.
In the Yanoba market where I asked to shop, they received any note. So
any note you bring?
Any note you bring.
Yes. I haven't had that either.
Okay, you've been spending the old notes as well. I've stopped spending. I've not been buying anything. The other day I bought vegetables from Malam, and the Malam said transfer to me. I have account. I was shocked. So we had to, leave the road park, and then we did a transaction. And as I gave him the name, and it was like, "It's my son's account. Don't worry, he'll tell me." Madam, be going.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yes, me too. Yesterday I bought Belongo, Suya.
And you transferred.
Well, it wasn't the same for me yesterday. We bought face caps, road trade, whatever. I waited for another 10 minutes before the alert would come. Kept waiting. But they are not allowed to go.
Wow. All right, let's move on to the Vanguard. Federal government overwhelmed by insecurity, worsening economy. Catholic bishops. Cash squeeze as rejection of old notes spread. Naira redesigned, stop economic chaos, NECA urges federal government. CBN to court, returning old notes will encourage vote buying, kidnapping. Turkey, Syria quick deaths exceed 28,000. UN expects toll to double. Bandits kill DPO, 4 other policemen in Niger. Old notes deadline, government directs Attorney General to review suit at Supreme Court. Naira scarcity. Tinubu lists 6 ways out of current suffering. I think we've taken that story. Desperate propaganda can't derail our momentum. Will be dirty. What stories do we have in the Vanguard?
I have in Mina. Bandits have hit some communities in Niger State again, and during which a DPO and 4 other policemen were killed during a gun battle with the criminals. The DPO Superintendent of Police, Mukhtar Sabiu, and 4 other policemen who paid the supreme price were from Gao, Babangida, and Peko police divisions of the state. And it was gathered that the bandits had last Friday attempted to attack the Chibani village market via Serkin Power, Munya local government area of the state. However, police tactical teams and vigilante members were mobilized to the market where the hoodlums were repelled without any loss of lives. But then last Saturday, information was received that bandits were sighted around Kwakuti, the Ajibe villages around the Lambata in another attempt to attack some communities around Gurara local government area of the state. Also, combined teams of the police from the police divisions around the area and military and vigilante members were drafted to the scenes. The hoodlums were engaged in gun battle with many of them neutralized while some escaped with bullet wounds. So you see how consistent the attacks have been, and the police vigilantes, they've worked so hard, repelling them, but unfortunately, and as I say, regrettably, these attacks took the lives of the DPO and 4 other police personnel who paid, the ultimate price for our safety. May their souls rest in peace.
Amen.
And we pray for their families that they have left behind.
So the Nigerian Governors Forum, after their meeting, have directed their Attorney Generals to review the suit on Naira scarcity at the Supreme Court with a view to consolidating their legal reliefs and presently being pursued by states. They wrote a communique and they called the CBN, called out the CBN that the CBN is currently pursuing what they described as a currency confiscation program and not a currency exchange policy. They said that what we are going through right now might result or induce another recession, and that they the Apex Bank did not take into consideration the increase in the size of the country's GDP before they did this, and they are also not looking at the consequence of it. And across states, they have different experience of, their residents depending on the level of businesses, and they said that they feel the pain and they're determined to employ all legitimate channels to ease the situation across the country on this.
So the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, CBCN, said yesterday that the federal government seemed to be overwhelmed and unconcerned about the rate of insecurity and the nation's worsening economy. But the bishops described the development as disturbing, saying the future of the country looked bleak. The president also, that's the Archbishop Lucius Ugoji, spoke at the opening session of the 2023 First Plenary Assembly of the body in Abuja with the theme Citizens' Participation in Good Governance. So he went ahead to reel out all the issues bedeviling the country, from banditry to kidnapping to the fact that there's a cash crunch right now that we're all going through. A lot of people do not have jobs, they are resorting to crime, and that everything plus the fact that our debt is rising on a day-to-day basis, we're losing our economic source. It seems like the government is overwhelmed, though they are claiming to be on top of it. And this is the time Nigerians have to pick up their PVC and vote wisely so that these sort of things are solved, and we don't keep going through the cycle of having bad governance over and over again. So it was just okay. Yes, I think that is all we can take and the newspaper reviews today. Thank you, ladies. When we come back, we move on to other topics. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome pioneer Positive Force member, dancing queen of the 80s, non-conformist, Afrobeat historian in her right, and long-standing member of the multiple award-winning all-female show YourView, Omoyeni Yeni Anikulapo Kuti, aka YK Power! Ginger!
Take it.
Today we'll go here.
Hey, I didn't read you.
Are you sure?
I know I'm not here to answer questions, I'm here to drink.
We're in trouble today.
Wait till your age.
I was close now.
I
said 1975.
He said 73. He said 75. Fellas wasn't even born in 75.
So will I drink half?
You go drink. Take. Make I help you. Russian.
No be half.
Which half? You will make me drink. I'll give you a hint.
Lights in no. Nepa Road. Nepa Road in Abeokuta.
First of all, my brain cannot memorize everything.
A big black bug.
A big black dog.
Bug. A big black bug.
Oh, sorry. A big.
It don't start.
Omo fella. Omo Anikulapo Kuti. It's
by all this one. It's not by all this one.
Looking for some drama?
Yes.
Sit back and catch up with the slaps. Yeah, lots of slap. The drama is endless on TVC.
Thanks for staying with us. So despite the Supreme Court order extending the old notes phase-out deadline, we're still waiting to hear from the CBN. We're still waiting to hear from most of the banks. And Nigerians are finding it difficult to exchange the old notes for the new ones. A lot of people who have done transactions have not been able to use the old notes. They have it in their hands, but they said they went to the banks and the banks were rejecting the notes. Since nobody has heard anything from the CBN up until now, we'd like to hear your thoughts on what is happening right now, how it's affecting the economy, how it's affecting businesses. What experiences have you had so far concerning this matter? So you can join the conversation by calling us on 081-270-53687 or 091-390-76948, or tweet to us at TVC Connect, #YourViewTVC, so that we can talk about this. So what are your experiences so far? I mentioned recently that I was able to do some transaction with malams selling vegetables, because now there was no cash to make payment. Normally I would stop by, pay them with cash, buy my fruits, buy my vegetables in traffic, but now you can't even do that because there is no cash. But some of them are getting options. They are using their children's accounts, family members' bank accounts, just so that those things can sell. And we also understand that a lot of them sell perishable items. So if they don't sell them, they will definitely not be able to eat everything, and then it gets spoiled. What have been your experiences so far?
So personally, I haven't had the experience of using the old notes and being rejected. So initially, when we had the first deadline, yes, I remember you would go to some places, even before the deadline, some people would say, and that happened to me, that they're not collecting the old notes. But when it was extended, I've been able to, use the old notes alongside. But of course, from what we've read from the papers, it's not the same for many people. And I guess maybe for even bigger transactions, they will not be able to do that. And so that is a problem. Like you, I was able to do transfer, but I am in Lagos. I don't know what the many other Nigerians who are not in Lagos, in other places, are facing concerning being transactions and being able to use POS or transfers. I know for my mom, she was saying to me, can I post cash to her?
Oh.
She's been waiting on cash. She says that what it will take is for her maybe to send some people to queue on the ATM for hours before maybe someone can get some amount. She says, I think she's saying that around where she is, you can only get 10,000 Naira, and it's not been easy to do a lot of things. I also remember them mentioning to me that a bag of maize that used to go for almost 20,000 is now about 10,000 Naira. Food has just been left, to perish. And now, Plateau State, a lot of people do farming, food, but there's no cash. Money transfers also have been a major problem. So yes, even though for me yesterday, it happened that I could do that transfer, but I was worried because for the past week, I haven't been able to do those transfers. Either they are reversed or they're hanging, and then you would see that debits have been made. I have someone who has been going to the bank back and forth. I don't want to mention the name of the bank, back and forth to see how they could rectify amounts of money that they had taken out from her account. She made transfer to someone. She needed something to be given to her, and it was time bound, and she could not do it. First of all, also they are not allowing you into some of the banks to go and address this issue. So it would be nice to also hear. It would be important to hear from the CBN, the Supreme Court, and the federal government, because we have the CBN just being quiet. We have the governors and the federal government going back and forth with the Supreme Court. As I'm sitting right here, I really don't know from the federal government and at that level of governance where we're supposed to be going next.
As for me, I would just prefer that, somebody just press a rewind button and reset us back to where we were before all of this madness started. Thankfully, the Orange Bank reversed my transaction, and it was after I made a call. So I was able to find their customer care number and made the call, which they took and, said in 5 working days. 5 working days was Friday. So the alert that reversed the money. But we know that, transactions still keep failing. All the POSs around me are shut. There's only one guy that was sitting in one corner that was able to do a limited kind of transaction yesterday evening. The banks are shut. As we speak this morning, the bank where I have to go to get cash, nobody's coming to work there. And it's a red bank. They shut down all their branches for fear of attack. They were attacked last week by their callers, so that they don't come and say we are calling them out. But they shut down. They shut down one of their branches close to the house as well, so people can't get cash from the banks because of what the CBN did. So let's remind Nigerians, CBN reviewed our cash policy. They changed our on the upper denominations from 1,500 and 200. They also put a cash withdrawal limit, and then they gave the banks the notes, but they told them only 20,000 Naira daily for individuals and a certain amount for corporate entities. And so Nigerians could not access money for their businesses. Then they went around the banks with the cameras, put it in their faces, went into the vaults and said they have notes, without saying there's a policy limiting what they can give. They put the cameras to their faces and said, Nigerians, they have notes, they're not giving you people. So you that you have withdrawn, they set your limits for the day. You are standing at the bank, you're insisting on getting more because you need more. The sad news I heard yesterday was a hospital insisting on cash.
Yes.
Oh, hospital. What business does a hospital have insisting on cash? Treat the patient if they're willing to pay via transfer. You can even ask for maybe if you think you want to go and get it cashed, you can ask for the difference of the withdrawal, something, but do not owe the patient or delay their treatment for this. But this happened. That was the news we got yesterday from a family friend. And so the CBN then puts the banks out there as the ones who were causing the hardship. So Nigerians took law into their hands. And we saw videos across the country where banks were being attacked. Bank staff now have to disguise if they must go to work. Banks now start shutting in volatile areas their branches. As we speak now, if you go to Ogun State and Oyo State, you cannot see a bank. The bank has to have 2 heads and horns to tear Nigerians and open. So Nigerians can't even access, the people who could even do transaction, you want to report failed transaction, you want to carry
they're not paying attention to
nobody is opening for you. There you want pass center, go fly. You know, so we have a failing system. And the governors who are in some states and seeing how this is affecting their people, Kogi, Zamfara, and Kaduna, took the matters into their hands and went to court and got a Supreme Court interim injunction, stalling for now that deadline.
For government, yes.
The deadline that the CBN had put, which was February 10th.
Yeah.
And so the CBN said status quo should remain. That all Naira notes, old and new, should co-exchange pending the hearing for, I think, the 15th, which is this week. And
but the same government went back.
No, the federal government
went to Supreme Court.
No, they've not entered their own. The Supreme Court has given them, when they put a matter on an interim, is so that the other parties put on notice.
Okay.
And they can come in and then they can hear both matters
together. And thankfully, more governors
are joining.
Other states.
Yes, Rivers State have joined. This morning, Sokoto, about 5 other governors have joined. And this governors forum are saying, we are looking at a recession ahead because of this. Businesses are suffering. Some people are sitting down and lauding the CBN's move. Yes, we need this, but did we need to do it in a trio-headed way so that it can give us more problems?
Did we even plan it properly?
Did we plan it properly? Did we look at our situation? We had a guest on Friday that mentioned that, we are trying to mop up cash in circulation. And when the combination of it was done, we only had 5% of our cash in circulation anyway. And so we say we want to mop 5% out. The governors are saying that the CBN look at our GDP as a country before they make this move. A lot of economic issues that I don't even have the knowledge of are now coming up. We are now understanding some things.
We'll talk more about that, but let's take this call. Shola from Ikorodu. Good morning, Shola.
Yeah, good morning, Uyajiru.
Good morning, sir.
And the ladies in the studio.
Good morning.
Yeah, please, I just want to contribute a little concerning this Naira note. Yeah, you see, I must say this, but it may go wrong with some people. You see, this policy the federal government is trying to implement, if successfully achieved, Nigeria will become a country, our dream, in which we have been clamoring for. If I have your WhatsApp number, I would have sent you a keynote of a seminar that I've been attending since last week, introduced and organized by CBN. We are going through some training now. You see, the truth is that the better we get used to it, the earlier we get used to this policy, the better, because I don't think the federal government are going back on this policy. Honestly speaking, the federal government are introducing e-Naira. We are going through the training now, presently, and they are employing people that we synthesize and, listen all over the country. We are going through the training right now as I'm talking to you. So I don't think the federal government will go back on this policy. But like I said earlier, if this policy is successfully achieved, this country will be a country of our dream that we have been clamoring for.
Okay, so let me ask you a question before I let you go. So in the interim, before we achieve that greater good you're talking about now, how do you think Nigerians should manage? Are you saying that the economy should suffer? The majority of Nigerians should be out of business before we now achieve the greater good? Or how do we handle the crisis right now?
You see, right now, I will not be in a better position to answer that question. But what I know,
Oh. We lost him. Yes, sorry. Okay, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll bring in our guest. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table.
Ask questions if I want to ask questions, and if it's something that I saw coming, I may not even ask questions. I may just, I may even tell you I saw this.
What if it's in person, but then would it make a difference where? So like this person might just say, you people can just be on Third Mainland Bridge on a bike, and the person say, babe, I cannot do it again, and you lose range. So what would change? What would change the scenario? For, like, does it matter where? Do you want to have like a fancy dinner, like the film you were mentioning?
No, like finding up you, right?
Or do you want to be on the street?
No, carry me go fancy dinner.
Or you might just una dey run for treadmill.
Or you not a joke.
You tell you lose for your web.
Now I don't turn attempted murder.
So which would it be? Because I'm like, in person you have the closure that you want and the few injuries.
Guys, that's one place. It could be inside the car. You can sit inside the car.
Why car? Why not bike?
Who will be driving?
Why bike?
Who will be driving at this point?
The car will be stationary.
Pray I'm not the one driving.
The car will be stationary.
Because I go master. You can't be telling me like me. I'm gonna drive near water. All of us. You must consider.
It's not just where, but who wouldn't you want to work with?
Yes, that's on that angle.
So like, if I had a very, very interesting...
You wouldn't want to work with who?
There's no judgment.
No, and I
respect,
respect,
they'll judge you
I
definitely,
respect
but we
this
won't judge
certain
you.
type of people. But what I dislike so much is when they tend to come to work and then they pour all their
resentment from
on
home.
you. Is it me that offended you? I'm not the one. I have no business. Mom just come and with you, pay me at the end of the month, and let me go back to my house in peace and sleep. But when it comes to like divorced people, I cannot work with a divorcee. I can't see myself doing that. If I find out, if you can hide it, but if I find out,
when they are nice divorcees,
I would just.
What if they are nice?
Okay, now it depends. If you are nice, cool. But if you are the type that you don't know how to keep your anger to yourself, you always pour it on somebody. Well, I'll just drop my resignation letter. No matter the amount you're paying me.
So it's more passive-aggressive people.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm so sorry.
Oh, definitely.
And I cannot work with stingy people.
See this one.
Because you cannot be passing me in the morning, afternoon. I can say, oh, hi, yeah, I'm working. Oh, yeah, take 100 naira, take 10k, take 15k. You don't have to be my sugar daddy or sugar mommy. See, the way you treat others is the way they will treat you outside. And if you cannot treat your workers well, they are not a good boss. If you cannot be dashing me small thing or giving me donuts when I'm working, you are not a good boss.
Thanks for staying with us. So we started a conversation this morning on the effects of the cash crunch. We shared some of our experiences and the experiences of people around us concerning what is going on and the economic crisis that we're facing as Nigerians right now. And so we have a guest joining us for this conversation, the CEO of Economic Associates, Ayo Teriba, to join this conversation. Welcome, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. You're welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. So we are going to be discussing, I don't know if you listened to the first interactions we had earlier, and we have been talking about the experiences of Nigerians, especially in this time. And we want to ask you a few questions. Maybe you would help us understand what is going on and how we can come out of this quagmire. So the first question I would like to ask you, I'd like to start from the beginning, is what do you think, first of all, of this policy, this new Naira redesign policy? Do you think this is the right time to have this?
Okay, well, first is whether it was necessary. In other words, whether it was going to be beneficial to the country. And my view is that it's an unnecessary policy.
Wow.
Because it promises to change nothing but just the color of the currency note. So you shouldn't expect any benefit from something that changes nothing. It's just changing the color of your handkerchief. Shouldn't impact on your economic well-being. Then the timing, 2 weeks before the Christmas, New Year, a month before the election. Election period comes with a lot of uncertainty and causing cash shortage at this time. I think the real problem is that the central bank does not have the capacity to print enough notes to replace the ones that it has withdrawn. And that's causing confusion all over the country. It's uncalled for. Some of us had cautioned that they should reconsider the policy from the beginning, that it's ill-conceived, it's of doubtful benefit, and it will disrupt a lot, and that if at all you want to do it, you should consider doing it after the election. So, but here we are now.
Yes, sir.
We have a mess to clean up.
So you mentioned that the CBN lacks the capacity to print enough. And this is the first time we are printing Naira notes in the country locally. Is it because...
Okay, very good. Let me tell you what's different this time.
Okay.
Let me tell you what's different this time. Can I?
Yes,
go ahead, sir.
Okay. Right now, the total pieces of Naira notes circulating is in excess of 10 billion pieces.
Okay.
All because the highest denomination note, which is the 1,000 Naira, depending on the exchange rate you are using, is just about, it's between $1 and $2, which should not be a note. It should be a coin. So you are printing far too many pieces of notes. So you want to fill your tank, you have to use so many units of the currency note. So what would have made sense, the sensible policy to implement at this time is to introduce higher denomination notes, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. And then if you manage to print 500 million pieces, it will go around Nigeria. But to insist on replacing the 1,000 Naira note with the same face value, even if you give the central bank 10 years, they cannot print. You are talking about 5 billion notes if you are just looking at the 200 to 1,000. 5 billion pieces is unreasonable. So you should be redenominating. The past times when we change currency is because we were introducing maybe 20 Naira or 50 Naira or we introduce 100 naira, we introduce 200, 500, and 1,000. The last time we introduced a larger denomination note was 2005. That's 18 years ago. So we are due for higher denomination. If that's not coming, you will be facing the situation that you might not be able to print enough of the low denomination notes.
Okay, sir. I would like us to just cast our mind back to what the CBN told us was the main reason that they were doing this redesign. Of course, apart from the fact that all across the world, economies would change theirs every 8 years, and we hadn't done that in nearly 2 decades. That's one. Two, we have a problem of insecurity, kidnapping, and one of the reasons they put forward was this will be a way to pull money out of the hands of unscrupulous people, and also towards this general election, which is very important for all Nigerians, to make sure that we break the hands of, or break the powers of bad politicians who may want to buy votes. So that is why there was an initial support, you know, for this redesign. Are you saying that what they had given us as the reason that they wanted to do this, this redesign did not help in that way at all? I understand that we're in a crisis right now. I understand the attendance crisis that's come with, you know, this redesign. But the main points, the main reason why CBN gave us to for the policy, do you think that it was not necessary for that as well?
When the central bank begin to play politics with currency, or the central bank begins to tell you that it wants to use currency as an instrument of fighting crime or fighting insecurity, then the central bank has lost its sense of direction. And the nation needs to bring central bank back on track. There are agencies that are established to fight insecurity, to fight crime. The central bank is not one of them. The central bank's role is to regulate economic activity, provide liquidity for economic transactions. By the time you abandon your primary duty and you begin to give all flimsy excuses, so have the criminals not got the new currency notes now?
They had it before.
Have the politicians not got the new currency notes now?
They have.
The people who are suffering are the general masses. Yes. They're the ones who cannot get the new currency notes. The targets that the central bank is talking about are well connected. They'll be the first to get it.
Yeah.
Right from the central bank. They don't even have to wait for the banking system. So you do not have to make 200 million Nigerians suffer because you are targeting 1,000 criminals, or you are targeting 1,000 politicians. It's a very flimsy excuse, and we should not allow the central bank to derail. They should go back to their primary function of regulating money, whether it's currency notes or electronic money.
Okay, so let me quickly take you back to what you
foreign
said.
exchange, for that matter.
Let me take you back to what you said initially, that if we wanted to print new notes, we should have, gone to a higher denomination of maybe 5,000 naira notes, 10,000 naira, 20,000. Don't you think that in itself will cause our naira to be devalued even more, and maybe inflation, if we have to go above what we have now?
Okay. Money is a measuring rod of value. It's like a ruler, it's like a tape rule. And you have to adapt it to the values you need to measure. So currency notes and coins should keep pace with retail prices. As we stand now, there is nothing you want to buy that we are not going to need the largest denomination of notes for.
Yes.
Nothing.
Yes.
The most used currency denominations are the 200.
If we have it, we'll use it.
The 500 and the 1,000. And they are worth less than $2. So you want to change a $100 note, you will bring out 76 pieces of note. That's of 1,000 Naira notes. You bring 150 pieces of 500 Naira notes, and if it's 200, you are saying another times 2.5, you know, 500 pieces just to change for a $100 note. This is what it costs the US to print that $100 note. It's what it costs us to print each of those notes. It's just sheer waste. So you should have a currency value that is commensurate. You know, something equivalent to $5, something equivalent to $10, something equivalent to $20. And that will begin to make sense. When the Naira was introduced in 1973, 10 Naira, which was the highest denomination then, was $15 in value. And then eventually $20 was introduced, then $50 was introduced.
All right,
Go back
sir.
to that.
Thank you,
There
sir.
should be a currency note that you should drop at the filling station, your tank will be filled. There should be a currency note that you should drop for a bag of rice, and it will be enough. So this malady of counting and counting and counting all of the time tells you that your currency values are falling below retail prices, and you should adjust them to go back in line with retail prices.
Okay. Let's take a short break now, so when we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Not just where, but who wouldn't you want to work with?
Yes, that's on that angle.
So Leifa had a very, very interesting.
You wouldn't want to work with who?
Not
There's no
disrespect.
judgment.
No, and I
Oh, they'll
respect,
judge you
I
definitely,
respect
but we
this
won't judge
certain type of people. But what I dislike so much is when they tend to come to work and then they pour all their
Resentment from
on
whom?
you. Is it me that offended you? I'm not the one. I have no business. Man, just come and work with you, pay me at the end of the month, and let me go back to my house in peace and sleep. But when it comes to like divorced people, I cannot work with a divorcee. I can't see myself doing that. If I find out, if you can hide it or not, but if I find out,
When they are nice divorcees.
I would just
What
be.
if they are nice?
Okay, now it depends. If you are nice, cool. But if you are the type that you don't know how to keep your anger to yourself, you always pour it on somebody. Well, I'll not drop my resignation letter, no matter the amount you're paying me.
So it's more passive aggressive people.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm so sorry.
Oh, definitely.
And I cannot work with stingy people.
See this one.
Because you cannot be passing me in the morning, afternoon. I can say, oh, hi, yeah, I'm working. Oh, yeah, take 100 Naira, take 10K, take 15K. You don't have to be my sugar daddy or sugar mommy. See, the way you treat others is the way they will treat you outside. And if you cannot treat your workers well, they are not a good boss. If you cannot be dashing me small thing or giving me donuts when I'm working, you are not a good boss.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome pioneer Positive Force member, dancing queen of the 80s, non-conformist, Afrobeat historian in her right, and long-standing member of the multiple award-winning all-female show YourView, Omoyeni Yeni Anikulapo Kuti, aka YK Power! Ginger!
Take it.
Today we'll go here.
Hey, I don't read you.
Are you sure?
I'm not here to answer questions, I'm here to drink.
We're in trouble today.
Wait till your age.
I was close now.
I
said 1975.
He said 73. He said 75.
I confirm.
Fellas wasn't even born till 75.
So will I drink out?
Welcome back. We still have Mr. Ayo Teriba with us, and Nima has a question.
Yes. So I'm just learning from you, sir, now that, you know, the Naira swap was supposed to meet a need. Nobody discussed retail pricing with us. Nobody discussed, you know, the phasing out of our smaller notes with us. What the CBN said was that in every 8 years, there needed to be a Naira redesign because, you know, it should be done every 8 years, and it's not been done in a while. About, I think 14 years was their excuse. And so they did a Naira redesign. And so these details, they didn't give us. So we thought this was a laudable idea. If they didn't meet these needs that you just highlighted, could they have just carefully stayed off redesigning the notes so that we're not bearing costs that we don't need to bear? Because we're also just finding out from today, from what you just said, that there's a cost to printing these notes at the value that it is, that the Naira is now compared to other countries who print at the same value. Don't want to be mentioning any other country's currency. Could they have stayed off the designing? That's my question. And not bother with it in the 14 years that they claim.
Right. I'm not talking of the design. When what the central bank is doing is redesigning, and is purely cosmetic. It has no economic effect, but it can disrupt if you don't manage the implementation well. What I'm talking about is redenomination.
Okay.
When the current set of currency were introduced between 1999 and 2005,
Yes.
the highest denomination note we had then was 50 Naira.
Yes.
It took us like 5 years of advocacy before government accepted to do it. And when they did it, this 1,000 Naira was worth about $10. Was worth about $8 to $10. Now it has dropped to $1 to $2. So what we need to do is continue the journey that has taken us from 10 Naira as the highest Naira, to 20 Naira, to 50 Naira, to 100, to 200, to 500, to 1,000. And step to 2,000, 5, 10, 20,000. And you carry your money. You don't need a bag to carry your money. Just like you don't need bags to carry dollar bills or euro bills or sterling bills. We learned to make currency from them. So you too adjust. In euro area, they had 500 euro notes, which they have just withdrawn from circulation because that value is too large. So Nigeria should be aiming at like $40 or $20 as the larger denomination note, not $1 or $2. So I'm not talking redesigning, I'm talking of redenomination. And the 1,000 Naira note that we are struggling to print now should be coined. You know, 1,500, 200, 1 down should all be coins. Because when we get to most countries today, $1 is a coin, £2 is a coin. So it's wasteful to be, you know, making denominations that small. This is what you buy a bottle of juice with, a pack of juice. You know, you need your 500 Naira. If you want to buy some other beverages, you need 1,000 Naira. You shouldn't be paying for drinks or paying for lunch with the highest denomination note. You should be paying for those with coins. Basically, that's the point I am making.
Okay.
So, and that's the point we need to call the central bank back to, make the notes in circulation more efficient. We don't need counting machines in banking halls. We counting bundles of worthless, you know, currency notes.
Okay, a few more questions for you, sir.
Or bullion banks, you know, etc.
Okay, sir. So you've sort of taken us on a journey. We now understand what should have been done and what is necessary. But we have a crisis on our hands right now. And we need to find a way out of it. So we know the state governments and the Supreme Court and federal government, they're trying to handle it there. But we have Nigerians on ground who are going through tough times. And many people are saying, just bear the brunt of the tough times and, you know, you'll be better for it in a few months, in a few weeks. We're not even sure. What advice would you give to Nigerians right now? Should we insist that this policy should be reversed and the deadline that was put should be stopped completely so that we're able to use our new notes and old notes together until the other is phased out? Or you just, where would you advise Nigerians? That would you say stay the course, wait for a few months, things will get better or not?
Well, we want that the policy will not work. We want that the policy is unnecessary. And the central bank arrogantly embarked on the wild goose chase. Everybody is beyond convinced now that the policy is unworkable. Suspend it altogether. Just forget about it. If you've printed new notes, let it circulate with the old notes. And go back to the drawing board and come up with a timetable for redenominating the currency. Some people will say, just start talking about independence of the central bank or about the CBN Act that they're acting within the law. Before the law, there is common sense. And, the man is not made for the law. The law is made for man. So you should halt it and, follow the advice of the National Council of States. Let the two circulate simultaneously.
Okay.
Until you can introduce larger denomination notes. And let's, withdraw them gradually over time. Stop insisting.
Okay, Mr. Ayo.
If you like, on, sudden withdrawal. It doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the Bluetooth,
okay, all right.
I'm not sure I still have contact.
That's fine. So, Mr. Ayo, we always pride ourselves that Nigerians are very intelligent people. And we are widely traveled. So we go outside the country. Oh, okay, we've lost him. Oh, okay. So I wanted to ask him a question, because some of the things he said concerning the redenomination just brought to my mind that the CBN governor should know this and understand this. That's his job, to do things that will put the interest of the country first. So you travel. You will not say you don't travel. You see their currencies. We copy mostly everything from them. Why are you not designing our currencies in such a way that it will pay us and give a bit of stability to our Naira? Why do we want to just do things because you want to leave your area of jurisdiction to start chasing thieves? The thieves or the corrupt persons that are trying to chase, you know them. There is no transaction that passes the banks that will not be flagged by the CBN. You know them. You know where they are. You know how to go and catch those I want to catch. You know how to liaise with EFCC or ICPC to get them if you want them. Why do you have to go through this round rigmaroling route to suffer poor Nigerians if it's not something that's personal to you? That's the question I wanted to ask him.
And at first, when a lot of people, critics were saying, this is politicized, this is vendetta, I just thought, these were just, people that were just talking. But, I haven't heard from him. And he's saying the job of the CBN is not to be catching corrupt people. Yeah. The job of the CBN is to make sure that, your economy is stable. And so if, let's say, EFCC and ICPC had approached CBN and says, we need to have a meeting, we're having serious issues with corrupt officials, or the military saying that there's so much money in the hands of kidnappers, we need to find a way to draw it out. So if those were the stakeholders, the CBN is supposed to, at that sort of meeting, say, okay, I hear you, this would help, but no matter what we do with our Naira, Nigerians should still be able to buy things and sell things and do their business and not find themselves in this sort of situation. So now, as you laid it out, so it's saying to me that because we know that you cannot be a CBN governor just like that, you are well educated, well experienced, you are surrounded by people who can give advice and things like that, then I'm rethinking the politicizing of that policy, especially also that one of the red flags was at the beginning where our Minister for Finance said she was not aware of this. It was a red flag.
Yeah. Let me take this call quickly. I'll come to Nima. Yakub. Good morning, Yakub.
Good morning, Sister Nima. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I hope the first caller from Ikorodu listened to our address this morning. Because when he was saying earlier that the earlier the better we adopt this system, I was just laughing. Because they started training you people now. According to what he said. So they said he was attended meeting because they are employing people. Are you just trying to employ people because you fail? If you I'm not surprised. When you have, in fact, I supported this president. I don't have any iota of doubt that he will do better. But unfortunately, this is where we have. But when you have a president whereby you don't know how to start people that underperforming, you get it. You have a central bank government. When it came to that office, the Naira to dollar was 180, and then now what is the rate now? So in the first 4 years of Mr. President, if also this central bank government go.
Thank you, Yakub. I hear our guest is back. Mr. Ayo, are you there?
I was going to take some Facebook.
Yes, please.
Okay, so
Mr. Ayo, just for clarity, you know, you mentioned that you were not talking about redesign, but you were talking about the denomination. Must this go together? Right. Must they go along together? Can the CBN be taking advantage of this redesign that they did and redenominate our currency? Or what exactly are you referring? Just for clarity, sir.
The redesign has no advantage. It's just a change of color.
Okay.
It has no advantage whatsoever.
The economy.
But the redenomination has an advantage. And as you redenominate, you can redesign. The redesigning is a routine thing. No central bank in the world makes noise about it. It happens quietly. That, you know, newer designs of the note will replace the older designs. And they don't fix sudden deadlines. You know, they circulate side by side. It's just that once the old notes get to the banks will not release them anymore. And they send it to the central bank person, yes. So you should be redenominating. But as part of redenomination, you add cosmetics, you know, you add the design issues. But you should not be announcing only a policy of redesign. That's a waste of everybody's time.
I agree with you, sir. I agree with you.
Take some tweets quickly.
I wanted to ask him a question. I'll soon let him go. So, sir, finally, are you still there?
I can hear you.
Okay. So, yes, finally, I wanted to ask you. So, initially when this policy came out, we're told, after like a week, we're told that the old notes can still be given back to the banks at any time. There was no deadline on that. Right now, the banks are rejecting the old notes, and the CBN hasn't said anything about it. They are not saying anything. They are silent about it, and people are not able to use their old notes because banks are rejecting it. So who should we be holding responsible for this misinformation right now, sir? In your view?
Well, the miscommunication came from the central bank.
Okay.
When they were saying that you have until 31st of January to accept the old notes, and that they would allow you to go and deposit the old notes on the 1st of February at the banks. So the central bank gave the impression that after 31st of January, the money will no longer be legal tender, and that they will allow 1 day in which the central bank won't even accept it anymore. It took the intervention of the National Assembly to point out to the Central Bank of Nigeria, particularly after the extension to February 10th, that the law does not allow the central bank to reject any money that it puts into circulation at any time. They may cease to be legal tender, but the central bank must continue to redeem them when such is brought to them. And so the central bank accepted the correction and then announced that banks should continue to accept even after the deadline. and they will bring it to the central bank.
And now the banks are not
But
collecting
the public
anymore.
should stop using them as like, that will be wrong. That will be wrong on the part of the banks.
This is because, just as you said, the CBN also informed.
And even the public, now that the Supreme Court has said that the deadline be suspended, even the public should be accepting them. Banks should be accepting them until the matter is eventually resolved.
Wow.
Sadly, Nigerians are still scared. So we saw attacks of banks across the country due to the CBN video from the vaults of banks, you know, exposing that banks had notes, but they were not giving out. So what do you say about the withdrawal limits and how it's affecting Nigeria?
I think all that, they are arbitrary. They are just the central bank trying to be autocratic. The central bank exercising powers that the law doesn't give them.
Wow.
Your money is your own. You bought the money for face value from the government. So no government should be dictating how much of your money you should have access to. That's arrogant on the part of the central bank, and is an abuse of the rights of Nigerians. For me to have money and I can't have access to it. So the central bank needs to be, reined in. They've caused all this confusion now. I'm not sure it will make them happy. And this was entirely avoidable.
Okay, sir. Quickly.
Okay, I have one very short question. So we had the CBN say that they sat down with stakeholders, and I'm saying Economic Associates is a stakeholder in matters like this. Were you invited for any roundtable meeting with the CBN when they were deciding to do things, or did you hear of anyone else, stakeholders that may have been invited? And what sort of advice did these stakeholders give?
Well, I was not invited. I commented, when they proposed the measure. Even the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, of which I'm a member, issued a statement telling them to reconsider this. I'm not aware that they have called the Chamber of Commerce, to attend any stakeholder meeting. And they should. You can't run central bank based on arrogance. And when you are adding arrogance to ignorance, obviously they don't understand, the importance of currency to the general public.
Hey.
They are doing real life experiments, unavoidable experiments. And you see the consequence.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ayo Teriba.
You've said enough.
Thank you for joining the show today. Thank you. We'll keep monitoring this matter. We've been talking to the CEO of Economic Associates, Mr. Ayo Teriba. When we come back from this short break, we'll move on to another topic. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities. Right here, within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, The pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
It's not just where, but who wouldn't you want to work with?
Yes, that's on that angle.
So Laifa had a very, very interesting...
Ask questions if I want to ask questions. And if it's something that I saw coming, I may not even ask questions. I may just... I may even tell you I saw this.
What if it's in person, but then would it make a difference where? So like, this person might just say, you people can just be on 3rd Mainland Bridge. On a bike. And the person say, babe, I cannot do it again. And you lose range. So what would change the scenario? Like, does it matter where? Do you want to have like a fancy dinner like the film you were meant to be talking about? Or do you want to be on the street?
No, carry me go fancy dinner.
Or you might just una dey run for treadmill.
Or una dey jog.
Thanks for staying with us. Over the weekend, the story of a 12-year-old student identified as Whitney Adeniran generated a lot of controversies on social media. According to the reports, Whitney lost her life during the Chrisland school's inter-house sports event that took place at Agege Stadium. However, the parents are not satisfied with the reports from Chrisland school. They believe there is more to what led to the death of their daughter. Joining us on the show this morning is the father and mother of the deceased, Michael and Blessing Adeniran, to share their perspectives with us. Before we start asking them questions, we reached out to Chrisland School. The producers reached out and they sent us their response. We wanted them to come as well so that we can have a balanced conversation. And their response was, thank you very much for extending this courtesy to us. While we appreciate the gesture and value an important opportunity for a balanced story to fill in possible gaps and dispel misconceptions or conjectures out there, we're in the same vein of firm conviction that it is morally insensitive to take the stage for a counter-narrative posturing with a grieving parent. It may not only be misconstrued as unconscionable, it is alien to our culture and long-held respectable community values. It is our firm conviction that an independent post-mortem inquiry will shed the light on curious perspectives, assuage public concerns, and strengthen the records. Whitney's incident remains a painful loss, and we call for restraint as we navigate this difficult moment. We reiterate again our deepest condolences to the parents, our members of staff and students, and pray for strength and the fortitude to bear the loss. This was the response from Chrisland School. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We say sorry for your loss, first of all. May God Almighty give you the fortitude to bear this loss. And the conversation this morning is to really have an understanding of what happened, what transpired. I saw your video online, and I would like you to just, in a brief moment, explain to us how what happened.
Okay, I went for the inter-house sports. I was there at the venue before the program started because I promised my daughter I'll be there on time this year, since I was not able to make it on time last year. So I promised I'll be on time this year. So I was there before the program started. I met some of the admin officials, the principal and some other officials, and then some members of the PTA team. We all greeted, and I found my seat. I sat in front. I wanted to get a good and clear picture to send to her dad, who was here to join us at that point. And then the march past started. I didn't see my child. You know, yellow house, blue house, oak, and then greenhouse. I didn't see her in any of them. I said, okay, maybe she's in the other activities. Maybe she's part of those taking part in home economics team or arts and crafts or something else. I didn't see her up till all the students marched. I didn't see her. And then finally they called parents, as is the custom in inter-house sports, for parents to come out and march as well. And that's when I got restless. I didn't take part in the parents' march. I had to step out and call her school bus driver. Please, was my daughter among those that came to the stadium? He said yes, that Whitney was among those he brought, and that he actually stepped out for an errand, that I should not worry, I would see her. I said, okay, no problem. Being that I had been at Agege Stadium the previous year, I was quite familiar with the terrain, so I went out to where the vendors sell items, where I know vendors sell items, and I checked around. I didn't see her. I was like, I know how much this girl had prepared. I know how much she was excited to take part in this event. Why is she not here? So while I was wondering, the march past was still on, you know, and then a school bus sped by on speed, like just zoomed off. And I actually said, like, why would you drive this rough in a place where there are children? And then I crossed the field. Anybody who has been to Agege Stadium will know that parents are kept on one side, kids are kept on the opposite side. So I crossed to where the children were, and I met a boy there, you know. Students around, they were loitering, you know. They have had their march past, they were on snacks, you know, having their snacks. And I asked the boy, please, have you seen Whitney Adeniran? And he said, a girl slumped here, taken out to the hospital. Wow. I said, oh, a girl slumped. Yeah, may God give her quick recovery. I said it. And I said, please, have you seen Whitney Adeniran? He said, the girl slumped Whitney. I said, no, my child's name is Whitney Adeniran. And I brought out my phone. The boy said, I don't know her surname, ma, but I know her name is Whitney because when they were pouring her water, they kept calling Whitney. So I brought out my phone and I showed him a picture. I said, this is the girl that slumped. I said, slumped? How? She had breakfast. She hasn't done anything strenuous. Why would she slump? And I met a man there. The man said, madam, she was standing here. She fell. I poured her water. I was the one that poured her water. And then I rushed out of the place. Then on my way out, I met a staff. A man was coming towards me. He wasn't panicking. He wasn't frantic. So I think that kind of subconsciously put me at ease. He just said, oh, Mommy Whitney, we've been looking for you. Whitney, I said, yeah, what happened to my daughter? I learned she slumped. He said, yes, Whitney fell, but don't worry. She's been taken to the hospital. She's recovering. I said, okay, no problem. So I followed him. I said, please, which hospital was she taken to? He said, let's go and ask the principal. Immediately, I called my husband. And I told him what happened. He said, okay, rush down to the hospital. I will make a few calls and I will join you down there myself. I'm on my way already. So we got to the principal and I asked her, ma, what's the name of the hospital? She said, Agege Central Hospital. And that I should join another bus. That she was taking to Agege Central Hospital.
Another school bus?
Yes, another school bus should take me to where she was. So we entered the school bus. I asked the driver, let's go. Hope you know the... He said, no, that he doesn't know the place, that Shibe, I know this is not their area. I said, how then do we get there if you don't know the place? I said, Ma, please. He said he doesn't know the place. How do we locate the place? I brought out my phone immediately. I put it on Google Map. It was not coming out. I put it in severally, Agege Central Hospital. It wasn't coming out. What I was seeing was Agege Central Mosque or Agege General Hospital. Okay. And I asked her, is it General Hospital or Central Hospital? She said it is Agege Central Hospital. I said, okay, let's just go ask. She is an hospital. It is not something hidden. So we rushed out to the stadium gate. We asked security men that they were like, mobile, we don't know. We started asking everybody we saw. We're just driving and asking around. Nobody could tell us exactly where Agege Central Hospital was. I told the driver, you know what? Let's go to Central Mosque. It is Central. If we get to the Central Mosque, somebody there should be able to direct us where Agege Central Hospital is. So as we were driving to the Central Mosque, fortunately, by the roadside, just not so far from the stadium, really, we saw the school bus that took her.
Okay.
So I jumped down from the bus.
Was there a hospital there?
The environment was not sanitary. It was shabby, dirty, scattered. A mechanic was in front. You had a food cellar. You had a gutter, and then inside, you see the building, just a small building, and then a small poster. A
private hospital.
I later learned it is an immunization center, actually.
Oh,
so
not a proper hospital.
Not a proper
hospital. So because of time,
yes. I just wanted to ask, what the principal you were speaking to, was she at the inter-house sports venue?
Yes, she was an
Was there a teacher or any other staff?
Yes,
apart
a
from the
staff
bus?
followed her. A staff followed her.
I mean, you?
No staff followed me. Just the driver.
Okay, so when you got to the hospital, I'm so sorry that I have to ask you to relieve it. In what state did you meet your child?
When I got to the hospital, I met the staff that followed her outside, Mrs. Watsu. I ran down. I actually was drawing like, Mrs. Watsu, where's my daughter? What happened? She said, I don't know. She just slumped. She's in there. And I rushed in. And I met my child dead. She was just lying there. She was already dead. I didn't get to say anything to her. She was lifeless.
Oh my God.
You see doctors, sorry that you have to relieve this. Did you see, hospital staff around her, or they
Yes, I met a nurse standing with her and the doctor of the center, of the health center. And I kept asking the woman, what happened to my daughter? What happened? She was fine this morning. What happened to her? And the woman said, from the way I'm seeing things, it's like a cardiac arrest. It's a cardiac arrest.
12-year-old?
She's 12. Okay. She's 12. How does a 12-year-old have a cardiac arrest? And I asked the nurse, Auntie Nurse, what happened? You followed them here. What happened? She said, Mommy Whitney, I don't know. By the time I was called, she was already on the floor. Okay. I tried, pressing her chest, performing CPR. I don't know. We don't know. Let's just take it as the will of God.
This is really sad. Then. What I could, think, immediately that she slumped was, if all parents were in attendance, somebody would have called you to join.
No, nobody called.
Okay.
Nobody called me. Nobody called me. I don't even know the exact time she fell. So
let's come to the father a bit. When you finally did you meet them at the hospital?
Yes, she called me while I was in the office. Okay. Then I rushed down there. On getting there, I met my daughter lying on a stretcher, and I asked them what happened to her. They said she slumped and died. I said, so what?
Did she die before she got to the hospital?
So I asked, I said, did you bring her here while she was still alive? The doctor said, well, frankly speaking, they brought her here dead on arrival. Okay. So then I asked the nurse, I said, so if you brought her here dead on arrival, did she die in the bus while you were coming? She said, actually, I was not there when the incident happened, but when they called me to come over, and I got to where she was lying on the floor, I checked her eyes, they already dilated, and I checked her pulse, they already stopped. He says, so I cannot pronounce her dead because I'm not a doctor. I said, so what you are saying, in essence, is my child died at the stadium. She said, yes. I said, so you rush her out of the stadium to bring her to this health center to be certified dead, and you make that an emergency and not call the mother. She said, we just say, okay, maybe since we have not pronounced her dead, maybe if we get to an hospital. I said, so did you bring her here on an ambulance?
Yes.
There was no ambulance on the ground.
Okay, let's even ask this question. Was there any medical conditions this Whitney had before this incident? Was she...
Whitney never have any medical condition. She has been a very healthy child. And I will tell you today, she has never, ever since she was given birth to, she has never slept overnight in an hospital. The normal thing that happens to every children is, oh, mommy, I have a headache, mommy, having temperature, and you take them to clinic, they say it's malaria, they give them normal medicine, and that even happens once in a while. Not on a weekly basis, not on a monthly basis, maybe once in a year. And in fact, I don't think Whitney has used my family hospital up to 5 times since she has been born.
Okay, the reason why I said is there's a 20th of January.
20th of January, yes. They actually, school called me. No, they didn't call me, they called the mom. The mom called me because I just left him not quite long. And since my office is on the same island, and they are in Okpebi, she said, are you in the office? I said, not yet. I'm on Okpebi Link Road. He said, they called me now that Whitney is not feeling too well. He said, try and branch and see her. I said, okay. So I branched in the school, and I said, my wife was called that Whitney is not feeling too well. Then they said, yeah, that they already attended to her, that they will bring her out now. And they brought her out, and I saw my daughter walk out. I said, what happened? She said, nothing really, that I just have a bit of temperature, and I'm feeling like kind of an anxiety thing. I said, okay. That was what she said.
Okay.
So I have like
follow up on that after that.
Immediately.
Went to the hospital.
So immediately, so when she said that, I had a meeting. I have a meeting in the office. So I called my PA. I said, look, cancel that meeting or somebody else take over. I'm going back home. I want to take my daughter to the hospital. I wish I did immediately. In fact, we went to the hospital. We met a doctor. The doctor attended to us within a space of 35 minutes. And he was even joking with her and said, is there any boy disturbing you in school? And she started laughing. She said, no. He said, so have you done anything rigorous recently? She said, we are preparing for inter-house sport.
He checked her heart.
He checked her heart and he said, everything is fine. He said, so just let her sleep very well. He said, she has not been sleeping well. She said, yes. He said, she needs to get some rest and sleep. And that was all. And he wrote some drug for us to buy. 4,000 Naira. I went to the counter, paid for the drugs, and we left the hospital.
That was it.
She even said she wanted to eat pizza. She said she wanted to eat pizza. I bought the pizza. It was on a Friday though. So
I don't know if it was a Friday.
It was a Friday.
The following day she went to school.
Yeah, I think it was a Friday or so because I realized it was weekend. Weekend comes through and the following Monday she was in school.
Okay, what about the issue of electrocution? We heard.
I saw you.
Okay, when I got to the hospital, the first thing I checked was, I tried to look into her eyes.
Yes.
And her body and all of that. Then I saw that her lips were black and her tongue was black. So, and her face also was kind of turning black. So, and I asked them, I said, so are you really sure this girl just slumped all of a sudden? And that was the end of it. They said, yes, that was what they know, that nobody really was there, that they just called them and all of that. I said, no, that there is something more. And immediately, after wailing and crying and all of that, I put myself together and I said, okay, you know what? I will need to make an arrangement to bury my child. But at the second thought, I said, I will not forgive myself if I bury my child without knowing
exactly
how my child died. So I said, I might need to do an autopsy, so I won't do the burial. In fact, I've sent for them to buy me a coffin.
We already bought the casket.
I already bought. So, and at the point I said, no, let me do an autopsy to ascertain and have a closure on what happened to this girl. So then the doctor at the S center and the principal, they all called me and said, then
Sorry to cut you. I just want to find out in this conversation, at what point did the school step in? Were you still just talking to the nurse?
No. The principal had came. Yeah, they had come by that time. So the principal and the nurse and the doctor in the hospital called me and said, let's accept what has happened as the will of God. There is no, well, it's your choice. So if you say you want to go for autopsy, but for me, I won't say you should waste time and effort and money. Say you are doing autopsy, that's the doctor.
Yeah. Yes.
That you won't say you are doing autopsy and all of that. So why don't you just, what has happened has happened. I said, yes, I understand what has happened, but I still need to have a closure. Because I will not forgive myself if it happened in future. Somebody called me and said, oh, you said you have a 12-year-old child and you love the child. What happened to the child? And I cannot explain. So I need to find an answer. So along the line, we begin to get, fellow students begin to, come up to talk, and they started agitating among themselves and like, why is our school not telling the parent what really happened to Whitney? We're all there now, we saw it now and all of that. So which I would not want to go too deep into that until the autopsy result is out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the autopsy has started?
Of course. I filed for the autopsy, and I wonder why I saw a propaganda online where Chrisland is saying that that they filed for autopsy. I did that. Okay. I went to Panti and get the corona papers and all of that will be submitted to LASUT today. All right, so that autopsy can be carried out. So I'm wondering where they did that. I did that. They discouraged me not to go for autopsy. They discouraged me. The school authority discouraged me. They even sent people to me, kind of persuade me and say, there's no need. Even while we arrived at home the following day. So, but suddenly, when they came on Saturday, I saw one of the directors started saying, we'll go for autopsy. We'll go for autopsy. Then I told them, I said, you know what? Suddenly you are saying autopsy, but you kick against this before. Then I'm also sensing a foul play now. So then immediately I went to the pathology department of LASUT and I met with the HOD and I met with the doctor that attended to me before, and I said, look, I'm dealing with a group of people who are bigger than me, but make sure your judgment are correct in the result of my child autopsy. And I left that, and I have recordings that I did while I was with them.
Okay.
So, and so far so good, that is where I am right now. So just waiting for the autopsy result to come out.
That Chrisland schools remain shut for now. I hope that, sort of reassures you.
Yeah, sure.
Transparency in this whole process.
Absolutely.
And I hope that the result comes out at least free and fair and unbiased.
Yeah. We are so sorry for your loss once again. We pray that God gives you strength, God gives you wisdom and understanding to handle this period of your life, and God finds a way to compensate you for all of this. We'll keep following up on the story, and we'll keep keeping in touch with you. Whatever you have, you can share with us, and we'll keep following up on the story. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you. That's all we can take on the show today. We'll see you again tomorrow.